So I'm actually going to do something here that I don't normally do. I realized that since the resources were set to balanced instead of to standard, it's almost always a bad idea to move your starting settler. With standard resources, moving onto the hill would have been really good. Although, once I saw the other resources, it was obvious that I should have stayed where I was. I normally would not do this. If the difficulty of the game was set to Monarch, I would have just continued the game as normal, and I would have still felt confident that I would be okay. But I'm not nearly as good as some of the other guys that play this game on YouTube. So adapting to a weak early game would really hurt the strategy that I'm going for here, and I don't expect to have an easy time of it even under optimal conditions, because I'm on a higher difficulty than normal, and I'm going to have to deal with attackers from every direction if I manage to make some of the other AI angry. So I'm going to go back to turn 1. I'll play through the first couple of turns pretty quickly so that we won't waste a lot of time. And you can see a large amount of this land. I'm going to do something sort of similar to the last one, but this isn't as good. We see that I don't have access to this oasis tile, and I won't for the next 5 turns until my city pops. Although I will have access to the corn and the cow in my capital. So this is significantly better once we get started. But it's not as good right now. It's going to take another couple of turns for my city to grow, because I don't have access to the 3 food tile, so instead of taking 8, it's going to take 11. And my research is going to be a little slower because I don't have access to the 2 commerce from the oasis tile. Once the city pops, I'll probably switch. I'm going to try to get the city to grow at the same turn that the warrior is finished. That tends to be a strong thing to do, because once I start work on the worker, which is the next unit, the city will not grow when the worker is under production, because all food will go into producing the worker instead of growing the city. So cities with really heavy food production can produce workers and settlers very quickly, because all of the excess food goes into those 2 units. But normally the city will grow as it produces a unit. So I do remember there's someone over here. I'm going to scout out sort of the same area I was on before. Once the borders pop on that city, I'll consider the optimal play here. So it went down here. Okay, so now the city will grow in 5 turns, and the worker will be done. The city will grow in 4 turns, and the worker will be done in 5, because now it's shifted down to this tile because it's just better than the other ones. What I'm going to do, see, I need 12 more food for the city to grow, and I need 5 more hammers for the warrior. So right now with a food surplus of 3, that's 4 turns for growth, and 5 for the warrior. I'm going to go in each turn and move this around and see if I can get the warrior on the same turn as the city growth. Oh yeah, this guy is over here. I remember him from the first run we did. Okay, meeting Darius of the English. The English are pretty strong. Darius is an extremely strong ruler, financial and organized. So he gets faster courthouses like I do. But financial means that any tile that produces 2 commerce or more will instead produce an extra commerce. So for a financial leader, this would be 3 food and 3 commerce. The key to playing with financial is, once I start making cottages, this 2 food tile right here would be 2 food and 2 commerce with a cottage on it. Cottages grow over time. As you work the tile, they improve into villages and hamlets. That might not be the right order, but they start growing up into towns in the late game. But for a non-financial leader, it's 2 food and 2 commerce on a riverside cottage when it's first put down. But on a financial leader, it's 2 food and 3 commerce. And with a bunch of cottages around, the economic advantage for a financial leader can be extremely large. That's also true for ocean tiles and lake tiles, which are normally worth 2 commerce. For a financial leader, it would be 3. And like this tile, 1 food, 1 hammer, 2 commerce would be 3 commerce for financial. It may seem like that's not a big difference, but it's pretty big. It adds up. It adds up very quickly. We'll do this. Okay, so 2 turns until it grows. What happens if we do this? 1 turn for the warrior. 3 for growth, 2 for the warrior. So this will get us to 19 food. And 13 for the warrior. Okay, I don't think there's going to be a good way to make this work out. Really, no matter how I do it. Okay. Yeah, because there's no way to get to 4 food. I'm just going to leave it like this. I'll give it an extra turn for the warrior.
The man who moves a mountain begins by carrying away small stones.
Immediately on bronze working. How long will my worker take? So this is 15 turns for the worker. So this won't slow me down too much. Notice it immediately started working the corn. The corn is the best tile because of the extra commerce. The cows would be pretty good too, but they'll be identical once we start on the worker. Okay. Elizabeth over here on floodplains. Is that, no, that's Victoria of Ethiopia. Ethiopia is an okay nation. They get a unique monument, which is one of the first buildings in the game, which is a pretty handy, unique building sometimes. And now I'll go here. So I got a warrior, and I'll immediately start on the worker. Now, this is convenient because bronze working and the worker will finish on the same turn, in exactly 12 turns. And notice if I switch to the cow, because food and hammers are the same for worker production, it doesn't change anything. There are some really weird interactions, like there's a trait, expansive, that gives bonus hammers to workers. It makes you produce workers faster. If you have an expansive leader, then the hammers will be worth more. They'll get a plus 25% bonus. It might be more, I forget what the exact number is, but the food surplus won't. So if you have an expansive leader, the cow would actually be slightly better than the corn. Some of the mechanics are kind of opaque and they take some experience to learn, so that's one of those things. But with this leader, it doesn't make a difference. If I was playing Pakal, that I normally play, who's expansive and financial, one of my favorite leaders in the game, then I would switch to the cow. But here it's really normal. Let me take a quick peek at what my neighbors are up to. Once my worker is done, I'm going to immediately start chopping the forests around here to get a settler out. And I'll probably put that settler somewhere nearby. It just depends on what the AI does. So I don't want to wander too far. Okay, I can't enter her lands without declaring war on her. And I don't really want to do that at the moment because she has archers. Okay, Augustus Caesar of the Carthaginians. That's a pretty strong combination. Now the location of my first city might end up being pretty dependent on where the copper spawns. Whoa. Gold, cows. This is extremely strong. If I settle here, it's gonna make Victoria really angry at me because it's really close to her capital. But I might do it anyway because of how powerful this is. Gold is extremely good for early game technology because once it's worked with a mine, you can see in the lower left, once it's worked with a mine, it gives a total of 8 commerce. It doesn't produce any food, so the city will have a tough time growing. But with access to the cow, it'll work the cow until it grows to size 2, and then it'll work the cow and the gold. And it won't grow super fast with those 2 tiles because it'll have a food surplus from the cow alone, and this won't contribute to food. But the technology bonus will absolutely be worth it. You'll see once we get to that point. I'll continue moving my warriors around. Okay, Degal of the Holy Roman Empire. That's reasonably frightening. I'm gonna start moving this guy the other way. Now, I could set my second city here, because even though my capital wants access to the cows, I could use the corn for the capital and the cows for my second city. Two cities have to have at least a distance of 2 tiles between them, so I can't set a city inside this 5x5, but I could set a city here if I wanted to. But I'm thinking I might set the city down here instead. It's a little further away from my capital, but it has access to wheat and this ivory. I could also put a city here, because it will have access to these floodplains tiles, which are extremely good tiles, and the corn. He took a little bit of damage from the wolf. And Pakal. I've met most everyone. You see, Pakal has already founded a religion. And so a lot of the early game diplomacy is about people of the same state religion being friends with each other and going to war with people of different state religions. The first person to discover certain technologies founds a religion. So Buddhism is meditation, Hinduism is polytheism, Judaism is monotheism, and then there's a little bit of a gap. I think the next one is Code of Laws for Confucianism, and then philosophy for Taoism, divine right for Islam, and theology for Christianity. Theology's a little earlier, but these tend to pop at about the same time in the game. And that's the last religion. Some of the mods add a bunch of other religions to the game, but those are the main ones in Civ 4. I'm going to move up onto this tile. Actually, this is an excellent tile because it also gives me access to the sheep. It's going to make this person, Huayna Capac, extremely mad at me. So I'm going to want to do this as quickly as possible.
It is entirely seemly for a young man killed in battle.
Start the settler.
Mangled by the bronze spear. In his death, all things appear fair.
Let's see. I need to figure out which forests I want to chop. Grassland river tiles are the best for cottages, so I'm going to do this one first. I'm going to fortify this warrior here. If he comes out, I don't want to switch yet because it'll slow down my settler. I normally implement slavery right after the settler finishes because it loses a turn where your cities don't produce anything, but slavery is a really powerful civic in the early game, and I'm going to use it to produce a lot of military units once we start. No, the old ways are best for right now. And I'm going to get probably animal husbandry for the cows and sheep. And you see, I found the copper. And so now I don't want this tile anymore. This is not the best place to put it. I have the wheel already. I started with the wheel. So animal husbandry is a good one. I'm going to put the city here because it'll be able to work this copper in its initial range. If I put the city on this tile, then it won't be able to work the copper until after it grows, which means it'll take me too long to get my axemen out because I have to improve the copper with a mine, and then connect it to my cities with roads before they can use the copper to produce vultures. Because I have a unique axeman. I'm going to chop this tree. And I'll probably put my other city on this tile. It won't have access to the elephants or the cows until it grows, but it will immediately have access to the wheat, which is fresh water, so it'll be an extremely powerful tile once there's a farm on it. This is a really good location for the city. Floodplains are super strong tiles. You can put cottages on them so that they produce commerce and have surplus food. Each citizen eats 2 food. So a tile with 3 food produces extra food over the citizen working it, which increases city growth speed. Let's play a couple more turns. Okay. If Capac comes out to try to settle this, I'm going to have to attack him with my warriors. And I really hope that he goes in a different direction, because the other source of copper is up here, and it's possible for me to go up to here, but not ideal. I'm going to chop this one next. And each forest that I chop down produces 20 hammers for the settler. The settler is 100 hammers total, so normally you end up chopping 3. Okay, bears are really dangerous. I don't want to start a fight with that bear. I'm going to plant the warriors on these hills to sort of keep an eye. But these forests are blocking my view. If these were flat lands without forests, I could see one more tile. So the terrain does influence the unit's visibility. Okay, this gives me sight of his capital. Okay, settler in 4 turns. So chopping down another forest would not speed up this settler, because I would have to move in. It would take 3 turns to chop it down, and the settler's going to be done in 4 turns anyway. The hammers would overflow into whatever I produce on the turn afterwards, but instead I'm going to start a road. This will make the settler get to this tile a little bit faster. It'll move here.
Blessed shall be the fruit of thy cattle, the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep.
I'll take, did I find horses at all? I'll take a look in a second. I'll take, writing is pretty good, but I'll go with pottery. Pottery for granaries is a good safe bet. Okay, he went for slavery. Still just 2 archers in there. No horses anywhere near my capital. That's unfortunate, but at least I got nearby copper. Okay. See, the roads helped it move further. It normally only goes 2, but the roads cost a half a point of movement. So I'm going to immediately start a road on the copper tile, because I need the road to hook it up anyway. And I'm going to immediately start another worker, because I need to start putting improvements on some of these tiles. It's going to take another couple of turns before I can start my axeman. I'm going to start a barracks in this city. I actually should have done this last turn, but I'm going to switch to slavery on this turn. And I'm going to start making a mine. Actually, I should hook up the sheep first. So I'll start that next turn. That's every one of these worker turns is precious, so these are small mistakes, but they add up. I shouldn't be making them. I'll fortify the warrior on top of the worker. That helps a little bit. Once this pasture is done, it will speed up the rate at which this city grows, which is huge.
Hath not the potter power over the clay to make one vessel unto honor and another unto dishonor?
I'll take writing. Writing tends to be a pretty good second tech. I mean, really, the plan here is just to smash Karakoram as fast as possible. I'm just going to try to steal this city immediately. And so I'm going to put the sheep down. It's going to produce more food. Eridu will start working the sheep. It'll grow faster. And then I'm going to use slavery, the civic that I changed to. Allows me to sacrifice population in the cities to add production to things that are being worked on. So this is an efficient way to convert food into hammers. And anytime you can change one resource into another, there's some strategic implications of that. So this is a good initial goal for the early game, is getting up food resources up so that you can grow cities and then sacrifice the population to produce buildings or units. Notice your cities have happiness and unhappiness. They start with 4 in each city. In the capital, the palace produces 1 extra happiness, so this one has 5, but the other city will have 4. Each population produces 1 unhappiness. So Uruk is size 2, which means that it has 2 unhappiness. If this unhappiness number goes over the happiness, then that number of citizens will stop working. So you'll have citizens that will sit and do nothing. They won't work tiles. They won't be specialists. They'll just do nothing, which is bad because they will still consume food, so it'll slow the city's growth. However, when you whip citizens to sacrifice them for production, it will also create 1 unhappiness for 10 turns. So there's a period of time where you won't have productive citizens if the city would otherwise be at its maximum size. But with small cities, it doesn't make much of a difference. Except, of course, that a dead citizen can't work a tile. Barbarians. Okay, barbarian humans can enter cultural borders. The animals are not dangerous unless your units are outside of your borders, but the humans can. So, okay, that warrior got into a fight. So my warrior will easily be able to beat him and protect my worker. Now I'm going to whip out this barracks. That will sacrifice a population and produce the barracks. And I will immediately be able to start on my axemen as soon as this is hooked up. Okay, this is good. This unit got an upgrade. It got 2 experience from that fight. So now I can choose a promotion to give it. I'm going to give this warrior the medic promotion. I'm not going to have enough gold to upgrade this warrior into a vulture once the vultures start coming out. But if I have the warrior hang out in the same tile as the vulture, it will heal them just by hanging out in the square. And I don't want to give the medic promotion to any of my vultures because I want to give them all cover so that they can beat the archers inside Karakoram. So I'll give him medic. And I'm going to have him go in the city, and I'm going to have this guy protect the worker. I'm going to make another warrior in the city. A couple of extra weak units can still be handy, because warriors posted on defensive terrain or inside cities can keep me safe while I attack. Okay, and the worker is done with the mine, which means I can begin producing vultures. That's very important. Now these vultures are going to be quite a bit stronger. This worker will stay here. This one should go here to scout. Get a little bit more of a look. Now, again, this one, see, is... He started with Combat 1 because I'm aggressive, but then he got an extra 3 experience because of the barracks in the city. So the barracks gives him an extra 3 experience. And 2 experience is the limit for level 1 units. Units start at level 1, and once I give him this promotion, he'll go up to level 2. Sometimes you save your promotions because when you promote a unit, it heals halfway. So if it's at 1 out of 2 strength, it'll heal up to 1.5. And that can make a huge difference in a game. But what I'm going to do with this one is give it a bonus versus archery. Because if it's camped out in this tile, it'll be able to defend itself against archers because of the defense bonus of the tile. And so this warrior will hang out around here to protect my cities. Okay, you will go to the cows. You should go up here. I moved him sort of wrong, but... Well, no, he can hang out here for now. That's fine. Once it grows, I'll be able to whip the city to produce this vulture faster. Although I might want to wait. It sort of depends. I might want to produce the vulture manually this way, and then maybe whip for the second vulture. That might be what I'll do. Okay, so this one is done. I'm going to have them go together so that it'll be done faster. This warrior will camp out here. We'll start a pasture. See, this city doesn't have very high production, so it's going to take a long time for it to create this vulture. I'm going to start on the barracks. The barracks is 50 hammers, and slavery whips for 30 hammers per population that's sacrificed. But this is another part of this rush. Because my leader is aggressive, I get double production for barracks. So when I whip, instead of sacrificing the population for 1 unit's worth, which is 30 hammers, I will instead get 60. Now, because of the way this works, I'll get 50 for the barracks, and then the overflow of 10 won't fully count because the next unit won't get the double production. So it's basically 55 hammers, and whatever overflow is not doubled will be kind of lost. So this is not perfectly optimal play. I wasn't doing all the math, but that's okay. It's not really a big deal. Let's see, I will immediately whip out the barracks. He wants open borders. I'm not really interested.
What deserves to be written, and writing what deserves to be read.
Let's see. Ironworking is normally pretty good. Mathematics is good. It's good for trading. But if I'm going to trade, I should get alphabet first to trade text, and then immediately trade for some text with the other players. That's a good way to try to catch up, is to race for alphabet. I'm not going to bother going for the courthouse tech yet. I'm going to do this. Okay, now that the cows are done, this city is going to switch to working the cows. And I'm going to have one of them go to the corn, but the other one is going to start chopping more trees. So where's Roosevelt? He's not near me as far as I know. So I'm okay with open borders. You can't be on bad terms with every player in the game. In fact, this might have been a really good decision for me because Roosevelt founded Hinduism in this game. You can see the little star next to them means they're the founder of that religion. And Pakal is the founder of Buddhism. I don't know who founded Judaism yet. I assume it's been founded. It's been 50 turns. But so this worker will go over here. No, actually, I changed my mind. Start chopping. And you also start chopping. I want these vultures out as quickly as possible. Why? Oh, his borders grew and he stole this sheep tile from me. That's really annoying because that was helping me grow my city more quickly. It's whatever. I'll let this city grow a little more. And it should produce multiple vultures very soon. So you see we chopped down this forest and it produced a vulture in this city. I'm going to give him cover and I'm going to immediately start moving him. But because this one will also finish, the next vulture should be done almost immediately. Yeah, it says 2 turns. I'm going to have this one chop out part of a vulture in this city. The goal really is to get these vultures up immediately, right? This is a time-sensitive process. I don't want to give my opponent time to put up any defenses. Where's the one with medic? It's this one. Alright, so about here, the attack should start very soon. I have another one. And another. I have 3 vultures with cover. I'm going to produce maybe a few more. I might get up to 5 or 6 before this attack is successful. But because they have a good score against archers because of cover and their higher base strength, and his city is not on hills, I should be able to successfully take Karakoram with a short war. And then I'm not sure if I'll start growing or if I'll immediately turn my attention to another one of my neighbors. Maybe Ethiopia down here. Also, no, that's on a hill. So hills make it substantially harder to take them from archers. Anyway, I'll go ahead and end this episode here. And feel free to put any suggestions or questions down in the comments. I may have already recorded the next video, so if you have suggestions for what to do later, there may be some delay between you making the suggestion and me implementing it. But if you have any questions about the game, feel free to ask. I'll be happy to answer them or to refer you to someone who can answer them, depending on whether I know the answer to it. Again, I've played a couple 100 hours of this game, so I understand it reasonably well, but I'm by no means an expert. Anyway, that's it for now. I'll see you in the next video.